But
All right. Shit, we can start out with our intros if you remember yours. I'll go first
what
though.
is supposed to be? Yeah, go ahead.
You got it. All right. My name is Obino Armalu. I'm a sophomore computer science major from Minneapolis, Minnesota, by Dallas, Texas. And today I'm interviewing.
On Mavi Mender, Mavi, performing as professionally known as doing business as Mavi. Charlotte nigga, former biopsych double major. I'm about a senior. Yeah, I'm a senior, ungraduated type of shit. I never really did know how to intro. They used to know me. You see what I'm saying?
That's real. That's real.
I ain't
All
never did know
right.
how to
Straight.
intro.
All right. Let's see. So when you like first started making music, like what was the first distributor that you used, if you remember?
uh, SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because they were because I was stealing beats and they didn't have like they weren't copyright bound. So I
Nice.
could upload you could upload anything on SoundCloud. It's still wild wild west in terms of copyright and sample
That's real.
clearance.
Yeah. I'll be selling them YouTube ones. I feel you.
Got
All
to.
right. So what do you like when you like started getting them on like did on digital stores though, like Spotify and all that stuff? Like what'd you switch
Uh-huh.
over to?
What do you mean?
Like, so did you not go through like a DistroKid or like CD Baby
Oh
type
yeah,
situation?
yeah. It was Root Note,
Okay.
and then Warner Music used to have a little one that was an invite only called Level Music. Uh,
Okay.
that's why I dropped Let the Sun Talk through originally, and then
Yeah.
I took it. So I was on Root Note, and then United Masters, and then Let the Sun Talk came out on Level, and then other stuff came out on United Masters again.
Okay. All right. And then I guess from there, I really wanted to ask you like, um, because with how it works, at least to my knowledge, like you can't get your music on like digital stores like Apple Music and Spotify, like unless you go through a digital distribution platform, like as an independent artist, like unless you're like
They,
signed
well,
to a
they not.
label and
They,
they
well,
can.
they not necessarily. So the word for it is it's called an aggregate.
Okay, yeah.
So um, like you can make your own aggregate too.
Okay.
But yeah, aggregates are like how you get your money. They like are able to publish your music on the stores.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like CD Baby and stuff. Like you can
Mm,
become your own aggregator.
yeah, yeah. Okay. I guess that might change the question a little bit. But
Go for it.
all right. The like typed out one was like, how can an increase in reliance on digital distribution platforms alter the way independent artists own their voice, catalog, and brand?
Well, if like three companies, let's call them DistroKid, United Masters, and TuneCore. If all three of them have 97% of like independent releases going through them in order to reach the
Mm,
marketplace, they could randomly, for their own bottom line, raise the raise the barriers to entry into the marketplace. They can make it where it's $100 a month to publish your music, or you got to give us 50% of your song revenue. And there's nothing illegal about doing that.
yeah,
So long as in a terms of service and stuff. And as the independent artists with no leverage in the matter, who are basically asking, like we're in exchange for like we're asking for the access to these people aggregators. And they're not
yeah,
inviting us on. So whatever rules that they set or whatever difficulties they assign to like publishing music, we take those on. I remember there was a time like United Masters used to be like completely 100% free to everybody.
Mhm.
And then in the middle of it, they like started charging a subscription. And I remember having friends whose music hadn't made any money to that point on United Masters. And they're like, what the fuck? Now I have to pay for this thing that I was previously getting for free. And like, yeah, that can happen. And everybody has to kind of go around it.
Yeah. Um, do you like see a way for like independent artists to like go around that? Like apart from starting up your own aggregator? Like
Huh?
do you like see a way for or like steps that like independent artists can take like apart from starting up like their own like aggregators to like still get their music up on platforms, but to also like avoid the situation to where like there is a massive market share. I mean, that's already a situation right now, but there is a massive market share with the aggregators that you have to go through, and they have like, you know, whatever harmful terms of services or predatory terms of services.
Um, what's the question? I heard about what the aggregator is.
Yeah, yeah.
You said how can we?
Yeah, like what steps can sort of be taken by like independent artists?
Well, number one, sell your music directly to consumer.
Yeah.
Um, the way that DSPs and aggregators lose their leverage is by your bottom line as an independent artist not depending on them so much.
Mm.
And then at that point, the value of their service, which is delivering you to Spotify and stuff, is less and less until it's very much. And then at that point, you have two different revenue streams. So I would say
Yeah.
selling direct to consumer is a major way. Um, hmm, um, yeah, selling physicals, things like that. Having creating your own aggregator can be kind of like it's not technically difficult, but like
Yeah.
it's people who like I don't know. I think like do more market research to the different ways you could deliver your music to the marketplace because there's so many different like companies that'll do it for you for like 0% or 5% or 10% um
Yeah.
and no monthly fees. It's a competitive market, even though it seems like there are only a few major players. There are so many companies trying to get their foot in the door. And especially with those companies, you able to have a more direct line of communication with people in the office, so on and so forth. So, and that's kind of one of the things I've benefited from when they used to have level music. It was like a small office, a small team. I was able to go there and talk to them about pitching, about how to make these things work the best. So, yeah, man. I
Yeah.
think like working with diverse companies, like not just working with the big names in the space, and also having revenue streams outside of DSPs in general, because that's necessary for a healthy music career in general.
Yeah. Do you feel like that information isn't like too widely available out there? Because like I feel like when it comes to most independent artists, like I feel like the majority of them do release their music through or get their music onto DSPs through like aggregators. Or at least like the most like known ones.
Yeah, definitely. But like, no, I don't think it's widely known.
Mm.
I don't think any like in like like it's specialized knowledge. So I don't think that people who are passion first or
Mm.
excitement first are gonna know that off the top of their head. I definitely didn't know that
Yeah.
myself coming in. I learned it from doing business
Mm.
and like for example, right now I'm releasing two independent singles. I'm in a position of leverage just with which aggregator I want to do that with because they're gonna be large releases. Um, I didn't understand that at first. I just thought whoever would upload my music the fastest type of music, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think it's widely available, but I think it's kind of like saying like uh how to replace a car radiator is not that well known either.
Yeah.
But you don't need to know that unless you're making money repairing car radiators.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the kind of the same thing about this, where it's like, you know, I think it was a crazy percentage. Like it was like only 10% of all the artists on Spotify are making like $10,000 a month, like
Yeah.
out of like millions and like hundreds of millions of songs. So, um, yeah, I don't think you ever heard the expression 50% of fuck all is fuck all.
Hmm. I don't think so. Is that
So,
is
so
that some
basically,
North Carolina?
nah, it's just some
Oh,
it's just some lingo. It's just
okay.
like
Yeah.
it's like this. If I say if I come to you and you're an artist and you make like $0 a month off being an artist, and
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, give me 50% of your income and I'm gonna blow you up. And you might be like,
Mm.
fuck no, what the fuck? But then I will tell you 50% of fuck all is fuck all. Like you guarding a 50% that's not worth
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean. I see.
So what
Okay.
I'm saying is most people undervalue
Yeah.
their terms of service. They undervalue they split percentage. They undervalue the monthly fees because they don't see their music career as something remunerative. But
Yeah.
people with a little bit of foresight, like yourself and the people that you represented,
Mm.
have curiosity toward these things, even like in preparation for
Yeah.
things becoming super lucrative. And that's
Okay.
exciting and important. And I think for those people, clear information, clearer information got to be provided. You
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
I didn't even know that was a thing that could be cool for me to contribute. But yeah, yeah, man.
And like, do you feel like
Mhm.
um the guarding of that information, I guess, because like I would say historically, like the music industry in general has like kind of gatekept black people from like accessing information for real. Um, and like when it comes to the business side of things in general, because we don't have access to the sort of generational wealth that may have benefited like other groups of people, um, like having access to that knowledge also becomes like another step in that process. So I would say like, do you feel like that's something that harms black artists more so than it would other artists?
You said something before you said generational wealth and access to information. It was something else you mentioned. What was the first part of the question?
Hmm. Um,
It was
I was
about
saying like, yeah,
music industry gatekeeping information
yeah,
to people.
yeah, like
Okay, yeah.
historic, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. I remember what I was gonna say.
Hmm.
So one part about why it's specific, like digital distribution is something that
Yeah,
doesn't have a lot of industry clarity, is
hmm,
because like DSPs are brand new. Like
yeah,
Apple Music came out in 2016.
yeah,
So like it's like less than a 10-year flip that switched and like turned the whole industry on its head to the point where like, all right, like distribution used to mean like, all right, distribution deals used to be 80/20 the label's way. That
hmm,
sounds ridiculous to you because you're
yeah,
like, why would you take 80% for just delivering my thing? But distribution used to mean like the printing of a physical product. So that used
yeah,
to be a really expensive like process. So like a lot of legacy acts already didn't have their distribution rights, and then that became what the whole industry value was placed on. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
And certain things like really complicated things like calculating what parts of a stream represent like a mechanical royalty. This shit gets like really tricky, like even
yeah.
like in the court of law and like in Congress, because like it's literally a new way, it's a new model. And it's this way around like streaming on TV and in music and YouTube of like translating the advertising cachet of a company
Mm,
into like fucking basically shares for content creators that continue to like draw eyes to that advertising or to that company's profile. This is a really like non-straightforward way of like uh determining the value of something. So for that reason, I would say like I don't know that that's necessarily being gatekept from Black artists, but I think it's being gatekept from artists in
yeah.
general because like in Spotify there are huge stakes like by all of the major labels like in ownership stakes.
Yeah.
And so then there's a lack of transparency on whether or not the major labels who are recouping their deals are getting the same pay per stream as artists and stuff.
Mm,
Um, so that's one thing. Second thing, yes, I think that there are barriers to like young Black artists from understanding and learning this kind of stuff because so often young Black artists are too soon paired with, um, you know, um, business mouthpieces and are told to like concern themselves with the image and the music and
yeah.
to allow somebody else free reign over the business. And in the end, that's a decision that like a lot of Black artists regret, but it's not even a decision they
Mm,
made. It's just like it's like kind of being like a young talented athlete. You're assigned the role
yeah.
of just shut up and dribble, and then somebody else is like somebody else is the brains of the operation, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are a lot of like resources. When I was in 10th or 12th grade that summer, right before I went to college, me and my homies was
Mm,
like, we're gonna make $10,000 this summer. We didn't make $10,000. We made a few $1,000s this summer, that summer, but it wasn't off music. But
yeah.
one of the things that we did was we read this book called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Industry. And it definitely didn't prepare me all the way fully 100% where I could just walk into a label meeting by myself
Mm,
and like know how to play it. But it made it to where like I had the lexicon. Like it wasn't no word that it was my first time hearing it once
yeah.
I got to the job. So I would recommend those kinds of resources that are from, you know, independent people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think there's like a disparity in how informed Black artists are encouraged to be,
Yeah.
how forthcoming labels are, especially with like Black artists with like a street background than like
Hmm.
other artists and with other different types of representation.
Yeah.
And that's reflected in a lot, even how different cities' rap scenes operate different on a business level.
That's right. I would say, hmm, do you feel like how do I phrase this? Like do you feel like as like the like as like we're in a streaming era right now, right? So like do you feel like that sort of relationship, I guess, has improved like with Black artists? Like do you feel like it's easier to have a handle like on the type of brand that you want or like the type of image that you have, like it's
Hell yeah.
not so much curated.
Hell yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
like because streaming is like direct to consumer, but like bastardized, one good thing about it is like niche artists, like your success is not so mediated by
Hmm.
labels. Labels had a tough time entering the 2020s because their ability to make stars was severely diminished.
Yeah.
Um, like the audience is more active than ever in terms of choosing who's important as an artist. And it's been more democratic than music has ever been. It used to be that
Mhm.
you find a child who's handsome or pretty and can sing and dance, and you
Yeah.
keep them in the studio and you media train them, and you know you do like um what's the shit called when like I don't know, you just train them up in a way of that. It used to be a thing called the star
Yeah.
system.
Okay.
That's how we got Dean Martin, and that's how we got Marilyn Monroe, and that's how we got Stevie
Yeah.
Wonder and Michael Jackson and Motown.
Yeah.
So, like, stars is literally manufactured through social engineering and posturing. Like, labels have lost a ton of money in trying to take
Mhm.
that model into the 2020s because audiences have more choice than ever, and they're choosing really specifically. Like, there are types of rappers that exist now that maybe wouldn't have been financially viable in a different era. And
Yeah.
then even like older acts are like Arm& and Hammer or Ka or Makami or the Griselda guys are benefiting from like the audience having more choice.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely have.
Yeah, I would say so too. Because like I feel like there's definitely a specific niche. I would say, yeah, you sort of get categorized with the Griselda guys. I would say like you, Earl, Mike, and then like there's also that Griselda, I would say, tag as well. Um that definitely gets, I feel like that's a niche online. And then you sort of have the more like, I don't know if it would be regional or like, yeah, I would say regional because you have like the like you have V's, Yachty, like all them. They have their little lane right there as well. Um so I would say like, but in terms of the niches, do you feel like that makes it harder to like broaden your audience once you get to a specific level? Like I understand like it's helpful like when you're a smaller artist because like you have an entire audience, like a specific audience that like you already know like messes with your type of music and they have the choice to go and stream your stuff. But like once you've already kind of captured that whole audience, like in terms of broadening it out to other, you know, groups of people, does already being categorized as a specific type of rapper or a specific type of artist, like does that hurt your case?
Fuck no. No.
Mm.
No. Because just no. First, you don't have to broaden your like I'll put it like this. It's like certain people, certain rappers that you wouldn't think is a millionaire.
Yeah,
Like they ain't went platinum, ain't gonna go on platinum, ain't went gold, ain't win a Grammy. Like
yeah,
a lot of artists that you would categorize as a niche artist or underground artists are legitimate millionaires, some multimillionaires.
yeah.
So I don't think like the goal is different. You used to have to capture a large swath of middle America in order to
Mm.
be financially viable because budgets were bloated and you were recouping money that you never saw or never spent, and you were getting a tiny slice of the pie. You know, man, it's like 100,000 active fans will support you. You making a change for your family lineage. You know what I'm saying? Over the course of a
Definitely.
year.
Yeah,
For real. And
yeah.
there's a million ways to get it right now. So I think sometimes like I think about acts like the Insane Clown Posse or
Mm.
like Tech Nine. There are weird ass acts that are pigeonholed because of they like adherence to like a style or aesthetic. And because of that style and aesthetic, they have a captive audience that's never gonna leave them,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, I don't think it's necessarily like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's real. Okay. And I think that's really all for like the questions specific to the project. But then I had like well, it was two questions from my homies because when they heard I was able to interview you, they were like, all right, let me ask some
Yeah,
shit.
go
So
for it.
all right, bet. So one of them asked, how was it in the studio recording slash making Miracle Baby?
Mm, um, fire. It was hard as fuck though. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like difficult. That was, yeah, I don't really be. Sometimes I write on top of myself. Like I write with no room for a breath.
Mm,
That was one of those fucking that was one of those songs
sure.
where I'm like, you know?
Yeah, nah, I feel you. Was that your first time working with Alchemist?
Mm, hmm
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I love Al. But
that's right.
I that wasn't when I met him.
Mm,
We did that like a year after. We have been
okay.
cool. Yeah, I love Al.
All right. And then the second one was, as someone that went to Howard, what made you make the jump to becoming a rapper full time and dropping out? And what advice do you have for smaller artists on what steps they should take to see actual sustainable growth? So I guess that's like,
Um, yeah, I will say I hate that people think like I just dropped out. Like I'm put it like this. Like I had 3.8 GPA. I was a biology major.
yeah,
I wasn't like bullshitting at school, and
yeah, no.
I went to school in DC
Hmm.
knowing that that would benefit my rap career. I always felt it was a 50-50 chance. Like I felt like I was so good at school. I had like a 1400 on the SAT and like a 32 on the ACT. So I was really into school my whole life. I felt like the odds of me getting a really great job with a degree and the odds of me being a millionaire rapper were like equal. I didn't feel like I was taking a risk by going to school, and I didn't feel like I was taking a risk by rapping after school. The reason I stopped going to school is because I was on tour. I didn't like just stop going to school because I didn't like I wasn't following my dreams to stop going to school. I was going to work.
Yeah.
And then a year after that, like after I got off the road, I reapplied to school and got back in, and I went back on the road again. I just ain't get to finish because these last 2 years, I've toured back to back years, and yeah, 23, yeah, 23 and 24, I toured back to back. 22, I didn't. 22, I got back into Howard,
Hmm.
and I was supposed to go fall 23, but I didn't get my shots. And I was like, fuck it, I gotta go on the road anyway. And it's like, the only reason I haven't finished school is it's very difficult. The advice I would give to young artists is related to my story.
Hmm.
The advice I would give them is stay in fucking school because, like I said, I got really good grades in high school and really good test scores. I was at Howard on a large scholarship. So, and the reason why I say stay in school is because college is the only place where you can smoke weed, you can have sex,
Yeah.
you can drink alcohol, you can learn how to paint, you can learn a lot of words, a lot of techniques, a lot of methods. You can learn a lot of information. You can meet a lot of cool people. and it don't really cost you anything. The most I've seen college cost any person that goes to Howard University and stays there longer than a semester is like a part-time job.
Mm,
So yeah, your quality of life is like impossible with that kind of work schedule at any other point in your life. So like college is a super blessing because it's a time where the whole society says it's okay for you to kind of not do shit and only pour into yourself.
that's real.
Any other circumstance where you try to do that outside of that is gonna cost you a lot of money and you're gonna have to work a shitty job while you do it. Me going to college allowed me going I'm from Charlotte. Me being in DC, I was able to take the bus up to New York on the weekends for like $30
Mm,
and fucking meet with Navy Blue and Mike and Earl and Liv and Pink Seafood and Max and all these niggas. I could do that just on the weekend and come back to school. And I didn't have to pay rent and my mom wasn't worried about what I was doing. And I was afforded the opportunity and space to like explore myself as a young person. Another advice I would give is like I made my first fan base rapping in front of Ira Aldridge Theater every week. They used to have an open mic in front of that bitch.
yeah,
And I rapped there every single week. And then they had uh open mics and founders. I rapped there. And they have an open mic here and I rap there and I rap there. I rap every single place on campus to the point where it was just like this in high school. In high school, niggas knew I was a nigga who was a rapper. In
yeah,
college, niggas knew that I was a nigga who was a rapper. And Howard people get behind Howard people just because they Howard people. So I use that to my advantage. And like I was pulling in a few thousand streams here and there before any type of anything. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So yeah, you have a captive audience and they want to support niggas just to say that they did it. That's the only time that's gonna happen too. Basically, what I would say is college is nothing like fucking real life at all. And you shouldn't be excited to like get into real life from college. College
yeah,
is a immense privilege. Like poor people don't like really, really poor people, like without access to stuff and
yeah.
without like they don't even get to go to college, let alone a college like that. So if you are not a rich person or if you're not a well-off person at all, if you are a poor person, you come from some sort of poverty and you get to make it and enjoy that. I don't care if you ain't come from poverty in your generation, if your parents come from poverty, your grandparents come from poverty. Take that fucking advantage. Take advantage of that that situation because like it literally has never happened in the history of most people families, and like after it's over for you, it's never gonna happen again.
That's real. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much once again for coming on. Um